freedom in Swahili. And if you would not start my 3 minutes, because I like these boys to have 3 minutes, if possible. And I'd like to just use that. These are my sons, King Zion, King Tut, and King James. This one wants to be a neurosurgeon, not because he know about it, but because he seen they make over $280,000 a year.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason.
This one's going to save the world. He is good to everybody. And this one is very defiant. He wants to be a police officer. And he always wants to know, he's the only one that questions my age. He always wants to know, how am I going to be 19 next year if we have brothers older than 19? But these are my kids, and the reason I brought them here today is because part of their summer and summer excursion and doing things other than just going to Disney World, Busch Gardens and stuff like that, but also to let them see what kind of reality is and what we're out here for and what we're out here doing and the importance of the things that we do and the things that I teach them about. And for them to say personally, for other young kids and for the future, is what's the most important thing in the world that I teach you?
To be good and be black.
To be good and be black. Nothing more, nothing less. The rest is going to come in its own. To be good, don't smoke, don't drink, don't get high, do the right things, stay away from bullies, don't use the N-word, and don't let anybody call you that and other things that go with it. So I keep it very simple and straightforward. So that's all, I wanted to say and wanted for them to be seen and let them know it's real out here for us black parents who are out here trying to do our thing. Very, very real. So, yes, thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
We're not supposed to say anything, but during public comment, but I want to say something to the boys since this is a special occasion. Boys, as you're aspiring to be all the different things you said, or if you change, please let us know if we can help you. Your dad's a passionate advocate for a lot of great causes, and if you guys have that passion plus that intelligence and focus to be a neurosurgeon, whatever you want to do, I'm sure you can do it. So you've got a lot of people in the community that will support you to accomplish your goals.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
I want to say that, I want to start over by saying uhuru, and say uhuru means freedom in Swahili, and say we as African people should always be thinking about freedom. I want to say about the city budget that just came forth. I personally suffers from erectile dysfunction. Personally. And what happens with that is, when I pay the prostitutes and they all talk good about me, I really love that. That's a good thing. But I just told you what my ailment is. Now this city council, what they have to know is what their ailment is. And it might be low and poor self-esteem. Because how could they let the mayor and the staff come in here, give a long drawn out whatsoever, each one of them speaking off the same speechwriter, and just walk out the door and leave someone else to answer questions or to present the budget, and they don't stay? That's disrespectful. That's highly disrespectful. So if it makes y'all feel good that after the mayor have left, after the real staff have left, that y'all can then ask the person the questions, if it makes y'all feel good about that, then that's a good thing. But for the general public, it's not a good thing, and that's what we see. They come down here, get what they want, and walk out. And that's the only time we see them. Other than when they're doing stupid awards and doing stupid things and ceremonies that makes positively no sense for poor and working class people. And what I want to say specifically to our District 5 representative, do not vote for this budget unless it have the word reparations written in it. We African people can't be fooled anymore with these games that they play with us. We want parks and recreation. We want more police. We want all these other things. We don't want it. We want our reparations. That's all we want. We'll be happy with our reparations. And until that word get in this budget, it's a new day. It's a new day, and we have to live by that standard. African people have to live by that standard. We're worse off now than we were when the city started back in 1855. We're worse off. less property ownership, less businesses, less education, medical facilities, everything. We used to have our own hospital. We don't have that anymore. So what I want to say specifically to this city council, unless this budget have the word reparations written in it, it needs to be a no-go. $2 billion, that's $500 million for the African community, and we ain't seen none of it. We're not seeing none of it, period. Police already got their raise, 18%, months ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir? Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Council. Bob Whitmore, Executive Director of City Tree. I will add one more budgetary line item to help the city prepare for climate change, since the mayor seems to have overlooked it. It costs $0. Stop cutting down trees. That said, I was heartened last week watching the discussion around the fate of a single grand oak on Isabella. But I'm disheartened that we are left fighting for the very future of this city, one single threatened tree at a time. While men and women of good conscience may wring their hands over the fate of one beautiful tree, the fact is this city lacks both the political will and the systemic ability to make the big changes that need to be made to preserve a livable city for our children and our grandchildren. As long as the Department of Natural Resources sits neutered under the building department and unregistered lobbyists for the builders sit in city officials' offices, the priorities of this city will be build, 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 and will be hard-pressed to see this day a century from now. Yep. All across America, municipalities are scrambling to climate-proof their cities, and the main line of defense is trees. In Tampa is using excuses like reasonable use to justify the loss of enough trees over the last decade to cover 3 Davis Islands. And this administration's response to canopy loss is giving away seedlings once a year during a PR stunt. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in crisis mode. And worrying and fighting over one tree at a time isn't going to get us where we need to go fast enough. The city needs to make big changes fast to protect ourselves from the inevitable. With that in mind, I'm calling for a new look at the tree codes through the lens of the recent tree census, and understanding that trees are a vital defense against global warming and the very future of this city. In the meantime, I'm requesting a moratorium on the removal of live oaks with a canopy of 60 feet or more. I'm asking for the establishment of mitigation parks and the end of mitigation payoffs. Builders should be required to mitigate canopy removal by actually adding trees back into the canopy, elsewhere or on their property. I am begging for illegal removal trees without permits to become a criminal offense. Misdemeanor 2. One be better. And finally, let's get natural resources' neck out from under the builder's boot and let them do what they need to do without fear of retribution, preserving and replenishing a canopy that will save us from ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Council. Mike Billick, Secretary, Tampa Firefighters Local 754. I wanted to touch on a few highlights from the budget presentation. Made some notes on my phone, so pardon me for reading. Highlighting the outdated fire stations since 1970s, when we transitioned from Tampa Fire Department to Tampa Fire Rescue. Since the 1970s, we have not seen an additional new fire station in city proper, specifically in the downtown area. Downtown is unrecognizable today from what it looked like in 1978 when the current Fire Station 1 was built. The mayor stated that Fire Rescue presented a master plan, and that was news to me. A master plan was recently presented, and it came from our neighbors at Hillsborough County Fire Rescue, who asked for 28 fire stations. Tampa Fire asked for 0. How is that even possible? The need for new fire stations and a station downtown. You've seen the conditions that our fire stations are in and the health risks that are associated with them. We are at full capacity. There is no room to add additional people and additional resources to the overwhelming majority of our fire stations we currently have. Category 5 windows and gender-specific restrooms do nothing to address the health and safety of our members. Fire code compliant fire stations with gear rooms and separating spaces from where the vehicle bays are and where our living quarters are. Diesel fumes are a class 1 carcinogen. This is something that I'm very passionate about. My father, he gave 28 years of his life to this city from 1983 to 2011. And he retired from this city as a captain, and 6 months later he passed away from cancer. And his name today sits on a wall in Colorado Springs at the National Fallen Firefighter Memorial. He is not unique. There are hundreds and hundreds of firefighters that are dealing with cancer. When are we going to stop sweeping stuff under the rug? And when are we going to start addressing what is killing our first responders? We want health and safety. I'm not asking for luxury. I'm just asking for to be safe when I come to work so that I know that I can enjoy the fruits of my labor one day when I retire, unlike my father was able to. Councilman Vieira, adding a rescue unit only to K-Bar Ranch does little to nothing to address the needs of the citizens. A rescue unit is needed at Station 22, which is located at Morris Bridge and Cross Creek Boulevard. An ALS suppression unit at minimum is needed for K-Bar Ranch because currently Fire Station 21, which I'm assigned to, and Fire Station 22 both respond into K-Bar Ranch, and they have upwards of 14-minute response times. If you're not breathing, 14 minutes is unacceptable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hey, good morning, council. Those listening in, Nick Stocco, President, Local 754, Tampa Firefighters. I first want to say thank you to the mayor and all the department directors that were here giving their own portion of their presentation. I respect their time and their presentation. I thought it was well delivered. Early in the presentation, they talked about roads, and as Councilman Miranda once said, without roads, our fire trucks won't be able to get to the calls as we need to. So roads are very important. Not only that, but the roads do put a wear and tear on our vehicles. I can't tell you how many times the fire trucks from Station 9 go up Habana to try to get to MLK, and that bumpy brick road that they go up is destroying the wear and tear on those vehicles. So roads is very important. Not only with roads, with the travel times, with the with the amount of vehicles and the traffic, the roads will help out significantly. In Fire Rescue's presentation, there was no mention of how much money would actually be needed to fulfill the request that the fire department is asking for. At the county commissioners meeting, we heard our neighbors over at Hillsborough County Fire Rescue ask for 28 fire stations, and we've asked for 0. We can't be that far off. They're right next door. In fact, we're within Hillsborough County. Dating back to when Mayor Pam Iorio was here, there was a station that was in the budget and the planning phase to be conducted in 2006 and supposed to be finished by 2011 in downtown Tampa. We're in 2023 and we have not seen any kind of movement on an increase in station. The parks plan called for new commercial buildings in between 30 to 50 years from when the building was built. 70% of our stations are past life expectancy. The climate plan was mentioned, and where we're at today, we're at the hottest temperatures in the world. The hottest temperatures in the world and the hottest temperatures around. You know what's hot? Fire. And firefighters go into those fires. And firefighters wear 75 pounds of gear in those hot temperatures. We need more firefighters, not only for the community's sake, saving lives, but saving the lives of the firefighters in the event that they fall out from heat exhaustion. It's 110 degrees out there. I see everyone running another car to get to that air conditioning. We're running into the buildings into that fire. So we need to put that in consideration. This is why it's so important for a public safety master plan to be able to outline how to be able to fund these needs of the community with how much money that we're talking about. 21% of the rate increase going to public safety is disappointing and disrespectful. If public safety equates for more than half of the expenditures of the city, why isn't more than half of the millage rate increase going to public safety? How can we fund fire rescue? There's been mention of a public safety impact fee. I can tell you that, well, maybe from the little that I know, that'll take a lot of time and legal, et cetera, and going through paperwork, but we need to get started on it. What can be done immediately is taking a look at the resolution from 1998-0115.
Keep going.
I'm allowing Councilman Miranda to write this one down. I saw him get his pen out. 1998-0115, it focuses on the fire safety inspections and the resolution fees that we charge for fire safety inspections, as well as the charges out of the prevention office. If these fees haven't been increased or changed since 1998, and we're still charging $75 every 6 years for a fire safety inspection, those fees need to be revisited, and they could be revisited, and this council right here can vote on that and get those fees to date, so we're not living in 1998 fees. But most importantly, that'll eventually help us not live in 1970s fire stations. So I leave you all with that, and I look forward to the future conversations of this, and I'm available at any time for any one of you to reach out to me. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Thank you very much.
For anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Pinero. I am a recent USF graduate and one of the Tampa five protesters who were arrested earlier this year. On March 6th, I attended a protest at the University of South Florida in support of diversity programs, ethnic studies, and multicultural organizations. At this protest, the USF Police Department brutalized us and arrested 4 protesters, Gia Davila, Chrisley Carpio, Laura Rodriguez, and Jeannie Kay. I wasn't one of the people arrested on March 6th, but a month after the protest, the school informed me that they had decided to press academic and criminal charges against me as well, and soon after I had to turn myself into jail. I watched my friends and fellow students be slammed to the ground, pushed into walls, kicked in the head, put into chokeholds, and even groped by police officers. Earlier, we all heard the mayor say that the people of Tampa have a right to feel safe in the community and in their schools. I can assure you I did not feel safe attending my classes on campus after March 6th. I do not feel safe in the community knowing that TPD has been surveilling events in support of us, as recently revealed by Creative Loafing journalist Ray Roa. We now face felony charges up to 5 to 10 years in prison for simply standing up for diversity at the college we attend. This is not just an issue of police brutality, but an issue of the First Amendment. If we end up in prison, a dangerous precedent will be set for free speech in our city. I'm here to urge you all to stand by the students, community members, and workers of Tampa and ask State Attorney Susan Lopez and Prosecutor Justin Diaz to drop the charges against us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Gage LaCharity, and I'd like to add on to the discussion on the question of the Tampa 5. This is, and we're talking about public safety today, and I think that this is a major aspect of public safety. The right to free speech is essential. It's a foundation to our nation. It's a foundation to our city, and it's a really big problem if a precedent is being set that it's okay for the police to behave this way towards a protest at a college campus. Protests happen in college campuses every day, and I think that it's a really it's kind of a black mark on the city. One of the most important institutions in the city, the University of South Florida, one of the largest employers in the city as well, is participating in this. It's a very dark direction for things to be taking to be going in, and I just really would like to implore the city council to please consider any way you can of trying to influence the state attorney in dropping these charges, because it's not. I don't think that it's how Tampa should be. I honestly don't think that it is what Tampa is, and that's all, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Anya Silva, and I'm a recent graduate from the University of South Florida, where I got my bachelor's and my master's degree, and I'm also here to ask you to ask the state attorney to drop the charges against the Tampa 5, because they were there to protest against the closure of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office at the University of South Florida, and we've heard those words, diversity, equity, and inclusion, today a lot when we were discussing the budget, and I heard it a lot at the University of South Florida when I was working and studying there. So I know that the school and the city, they put a lot of lip service to it, but when it comes time to actually enacting those values, they're singing a different tune. But I think that those values are something that we all hold dear, and it's right. It's the right thing to do to stand up and defend diversity and protest against the closure of diversity, equity, and inclusion offices. And I know that it has been affecting our schools. I know a lot of my colleagues have been seeking elsewhere out of state to continue their higher education or to pursue employment in higher education. And it's no secret that a lot of Florida universities are having trouble filling a lot of positions, faculty positions. A lot of courses at USF are getting cut because there's nobody to teach them. So I am once again imploring you to ask the state attorney to drop the charges against the Tampa 5 because they were doing the right thing by defending diversity, and it's the right thing to drop the charges. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Simon Rowe. I know today we already discussed the budget, and an upcoming agenda point is about the Victims of Crime Assistance Fund, but I'm here today to talk about something you can do right now for free to help victims of crime, specifically the Tampa 5 who were brutalized on March 6th when they were protesting, which is a protected constitutional right. And also to talk about how this is a labor issue. There have been thousands of signatures across the globe in support of dropping the charges against the Tampa 5. This is a nationwide issue. There is national press covering it, of Axios and Teen Vogue, not to mention local press of the Tampa Bay Times, Creative Loafing, WUSF, and WMNF reporting on this issue. Over 70 civil rights groups across the country have signed in support of dropping the charges against the Tampa 5, and that includes local organizations like Florida Rising, Hillsborough NAACP, and the Tampa ACLU have all spoken in support of dropping the charges. And at their last court date on July 12, there were 20 cities across the country who held solidarity protests to say that the Tampa 5's charges should be dropped. And in June, there was a 150-person conference of people attending from as far away as Denver and Chicago who traveled down here to Tampa to say what happened on March 6th wasn't right. It was a horrible act of repression, and it can't happen again. And public officials at the state level have spoken out in support, like Anna Escamani, Michelle Rayner, and Nikki Fried, in support of the Tampa 5. And you already have met one of the Tampa 5. She comes out to these city council meetings a lot. I know she's watching this back in a little bit because she's very involved in politics, and that's why she is nominated for Best Activist for Creative Loafing. It's Laura Rodriguez. I think she was up here a couple weeks ago to also talk about this. I only have one more minute, but this is also a labor issue because one of the Tampa 5, Chrisley Carpio, an AFSCME worker at USF, was fired for protesting, even though that is a violation of her contract, despite what USF claimed in a statement to the Tampa Bay Times. Her contract only allowed for immediate termination in a conviction of a felony or misdemeanor, and she was only charged, so that is a violation of her contract. And that is an unfair labor practice that USF has committed. Over 150 union members signed a petition in support, once again, all across the country, AFSCME, Teamsters like myself, communication workers, teachers, USF, United Faculty Florida USF, Grad Assistants United. Union members from across the country have spoken in support of dropping the charges, and the West Central Florida Labor Council and North Florida Labor Councils have made resolutions in support, and some of them have endorsed you for office. So why can't you make a statement and do the same? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hi, my name's Ari Fitzgerald, and I am not a confident public speaker, but these young people and their weighty constitutional issues give me courage. So with that, I just want to say my remarks are kind of related to constitutional principles, and I want to begin by saying that I respect the police and the job they do. It isn't, my remarks are not in any way intended to be a condemnation, but I do have strong concerns about the practice of surveilling the public from the sky carried out on a regular basis. We all have to consider the Constitution in our actions. And I don't think that you or TPD really realize how bad it's been, and I'm sharing my experiences. I moved to the Riverside Heights neighborhood from South Tampa, where I lived for 25 years. In South Tampa, we rarely saw a helicopter, and if we did, police were in hot pursuit, and we knew it. I've now lived in Riverside Heights for only 5 years, and in the last 3 especially, the level of surveillance has gone up dramatically. Sorry. Now, most days we go to bed and wake up with the helicopters buzzing around our roofs. It's horrible. They fly in the daytime too, often in circles, which amplifies the disturbance. They've shined their lights in our backyards, and at night they've gone into stealth mode, where they hover over our heads with the lights off, and you can hear them, but you can't see them. What are we supposed to think when that happens, except that we're being watched? What's the justification for this intrusion? They're just noisy too. I know you care about neighborhoods. The focus is on diverse neighborhoods. The focus of the flights, is on diverse neighborhoods in central Tampa. The constant flyovers are doing us all a disservice. They create the false impression that my neighborhood and the others in their sites are somehow hubs of criminal activity when it's not true. And the fact that they're not being used in South Tampa, or apparently New Tampa either, suggests some improper targeting may be afoot. This is a big concern for me. This practice reflects poorly on Tampa. It's as far removed from the notion of community policing as it can possibly be. And it's expensive, which is certainly a concern for the city's budget. And based on my observations, the city may be courting even more fiscal trouble with the current practice. The bottom line is I'm asking for some relief for myself and my neighbors from the noise and intrusion from the eye in the sky. For the city's physical and economic health, these flyovers should not be routine. Okay. Also, save the Grand Oak at 1019 Ohio Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have TPD is going to be giving us a report about the helicopter usage, and Councilmember Carlson made that motion, so we'll be talking about it today. And I know you've reached out to me many times, and many of us, so we would like to.
I did write to y'all, and I have a little more detail in writing because I'm better expressing myself that way. But if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
We're going to talk about it today, so.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I really am glad it's finally being brought up.
Yes, ma'am. Next speaker.
Good morning. I am Candace Savitz, Tampa Heights homeowner, almost 20 years, and I love my diverse neighborhood too. I am here this morning to talk about item 25 on the agenda, police helicopters. I appreciate Tampa PD very much, yet I'm old enough to remember when the police department didn't have helicopters in the sky all night long. I wish we could go back to those days. Right now, in my neighborhood, I'm aware of nighttime hovering and reconnaissance by police helicopters. It's noisy, it's intrusive, and quite frankly, I think it's unnecessary. Operating helicopters just to circle around and search for crime is expensive, very expensive. Couldn't we reallocate some of that money to better projects that actually help people, or maybe crime prevention programs? Also, it's noisy. It's unbelievably noisy. And if a resident is unlucky enough to live in one of these targeted neighborhoods, you could be awakened at night with rotor blades going, vibrating your house, interrupting your sleep, putting the kibosh on your quiet enjoyment of life. And many times they are just doing flybys. I've personally witnessed on occasions helicopters circling around up there, yet no police cars are anywhere. What is going on? Can a helicopter arrest somebody? I don't think so. I was stationed at Whiting Field, a Navy helicopter training base here in Florida. I personally know that a pilot can get in a bird and be in the sky very quickly. I mean, we don't have fire trucks roaming the neighborhood waiting for something to catch on fire, do we? They wait to be dispatched. And I would like to point out that the fire department has a station very close to where I live. After 10 p.m., they don't use their sirens as they leave for an emergency, only their flashing lights. That shows consideration for the people who live nearby. Thank you, Fire and Rescue. I'm asking this council to do a thorough review of the use and expense of helicopters by the Tampa Police Department. I would like to think that they are used for emergencies, to shine a light on an area where there's been an accident or a major crime, just as a backup system to the actual boots on the ground. You know, that old-fashioned way of policing. We deserve peace and quiet at night, and we don't want to be wasting money. Please consider your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Dave Coleman, and I remember the helicopters in 2020 on the, I think it was the 4th of July over on Dale Mabry. And I thought that helicopters were like really technical and they really know what's going on. And the audio that came back over the news when it was released was, get them on something. It's like, thanks for letting me share. Anyway, and then the students, I've seen them be at events and just working really hard for change in the community for years. The group that most of them are involved with, there's a couple different groups, but a letter from you in support. If you heard anything here today that touched your heart about what they're going through, a letter from either individually or if you made a resolution as a board would be a wonderful thing and a big help to their cause and their plight. I heard a lot today at the budget release and on housing. We all know how difficult it is. We have thousands of children that'll be attending school next week in this area in Hillsborough County that are going to be attending from cars, from tents, from couches, and we need to do better. I was told by one elected that a county is never going to create. I was dreaming if I wanted a county shelter. I'm asking the city, I've asked before, but I'm asking again, create a city shelter where police, if they find a family on the side of the road, they can say there's a bus following. Get in that bus, they're going to take you someplace. This business of hotel vouchers and babies sitting in hotel parking lots at midnight and then an elected blaming the parents, blaming the parents that their children are in parking lots. And meanwhile, Catholic Charities down the street from my house opened up Mercy Oaks opened a year ago, opened up, grand opening, and the priest spraying the holy water on the doors. And you know that place was empty for a freaking year until recently. I don't know, they got some kind of vetting process going on over there, but I'm terribly sorry. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If Metropolitan and Catholic Charities isn't providing substantial, real answers for our homeless and housing issues, then we need to change. On traffic, Joe Citro at a TPO meeting, he said we have a shovel-ready project, lower the limits. I only got a couple of seconds left. 35 arrive alive. Create white signs with black circles on them. Every place that somebody died in the city, put those signs up so people know they're in an area where a human being lost their life. I go to the FDOT meetings and TPO meetings, and I say, we got to lower the limits. And they say, no, we got to redesign the roads. And I said, will lower the limits save lives? And they said, yes, it will. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Stephanie Pointer.
Good morning.
We had a very nice budget presentation this morning. I was glad to see the mayor warm up and walk over. That makes me very happy and warm in my heart. I would have loved to see her answer some questions, but you know, one step at a time. You know, we started out with $19.50 for the average household, then it went up to $20, and then blah, blah, blah. And so we looked at the big map, and so it's between $240 and $420 a year increase. Well, I don't know about y'all, but that's my TICO bill. That's a month's worth of TICO bill for this month, the hottest month on record, okay? Just saying. And here's my problem. I don't mind paying in a little bit more. But my problem is item number 28, where we've got fees that haven't been raised since 1998. We've got fees that haven't been raised since 2011. Can anybody please raise your hand if you're still making the same money you made in 2000? Please raise your hand. And my guess is no. But the city is still charging the same amount. Why do we not have a graduated system? Every city council agenda I read, and I read all of them, just like all of you do, includes a CPI increase for whatever our vendors are. So we're paying the long guy an extra 8.5%, but yet we haven't raised our neighborhood enforcement fees since 2011. So the developer who failed to mow the grass, and we went out there and mowed the grass for them, they got the 2011 price, but we paid the lawn care guy the 2023 price. How jacked up is that? So the city is not being a good steward of our funds at this point. You look at the water department, holy Jesus, they haven't raised anything since 1998. There's 5 or 6 pages of it, of that 600-page document that was submitted by staff. 600 pages long of fees that go out for the city, and they haven't been increased at all. I came in here 4 or 5 years ago and asked for a vacation of an alleyway behind one of my houses. And when I did, I paid $573. Today, the same exact thing would be $573. I guarantee you the staff that's processing that got a raise. So why is it that the city is sitting on a gold mine of fees? And I'm not talking about anything outrageous. Let's talk just about Parks and Rec for 1 second. $15 for a kid to join for a year. My kids aren't on free or reduced lunch. So therefore, if they're on free or reduced lunch, bring your paperwork, we give it to you for free. I'm totally behind that. But my kids I've been here for 12 years, and my kids have been the same amount every single year. Every single person, if you raise it $1 a year, nobody'd even know the damn difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning. It's Greg Doss once again. And as a person who ordered repair parts for combat helicopters, you're right, they can get up and down pretty quickly. And I'd like to say shout out to local Union 79, for which I was once a member and a union steward. I want to cut to the chase with this and play something. Hope you get this.
Third ASA assignment in this case, once it went to Nash. There were all the stuff that happened, Judge Kaiser, Judge Wolf, I was not involved with at all, but we did discuss, and I looked through it, and there were 2 different court dates that I even hand-delivered everything that I possibly had to him once again, as far as discovery is concerned. And as I stated, there was 1 additional supplement that I looked into, found, and then provided to Mr. Doss. There have been additional requests for discovery on his behalf, and I have responded in writing to them, and these are things that are either not in possession by the state or can be obtained from public records.
Real cool. I'm going to shut that off right there, but we can get the rest if somebody wants it from me. So the city of Tampa, and hopefully everybody was paying attention to the overhead, I requested emails, and apparently there are 7,000 emails about me that the city of Tampa didn't turn in during discovery. That's pretty interesting. We also talked about fundamental rights that the United States Constitution grants people. So that's where the $10,000 bill comes from. And oddly enough, today is the first time I've actually been in the same room with the individual who falsely accused me of a crime because he never showed up. 7,000 emails through a cursory search. 445 hours. That's about 12 weeks of somebody doing some hard work. Me and a couple of my friends will go in, and I just want to let you all know, make sure you make them available. There's an Article 1, Section 23 and 24 of the Florida Constitution. I'll just do it my damn self. But that's kind of interesting that I'm not that famous. You have 7,000 emails, which no one turned over to me during discovery. And we have rules of procedure in Florida, criminal rules of procedure, 3.220. I asked for it. They didn't give me anything. But we have 7,000 emails. I would tell everybody out here, you might want to take some time and check to see how many emails you have about yourself here in Tampa. That's quite a bit for a person who's not very famous. So at any rate, I wanted to say something about slavery. Slavery was a deliberate act by the United States government. And a slave is a description of a person who at one time was an architect, and the world's first architects, engineers, chemists, and scientists, and what have you. And my brother's an engineer, he's a doctor of engineering, and my mother and father both retired military. And that wasn't a benefit of slavery, that was the benefit of being descended from the originators of society and of civilization. That being said, shout out to Thomas Jefferson High School. Y'all take care.
Thank you very much, sir. Anybody else here for public comment?